accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I'm an expert and I'm a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get ready.
Let's play the game.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
I just don't think that anybody's going to succeed in that system.
It's a bad organization.
It's just a bad organization.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles, onions pickles.
Live and local.
Look, it's impressive.
On ESPN
Northwest Florida.
What is going on, Northwest Florida? You are now in the doghouse with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes, along with Adam Goff, or as some of you may know him as Fano, and Caveman Rick, as some of you may know as Caveman Rick. Hopefully you guys are all having a wonderful afternoon.
Hot Pockets.
Hey, there you go, man. Hot Pockets, also known as Hot Pockets. There you go. What's your favorite flavor of Hot Pocket? There we go. Let's just go off on a tangent right out the gate.
I guess you had to go with the OG pepperoni pizza.
Pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
All right. I figured you
cheesesteak.
I'm
man,
ham
come
and
on,
cheese.
dude. That's phony.
Ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese.
Tomato soup on the side of it.
Not all the time, but it's not bad. Yeah. Here's another question for you: do you put water in your tomato soup, or milk, or both?
Both.
I do both. I do half and half.
Yep, that's about the same.
It's the perfect consistency. It's not too thin, not
little
too
creamy, but like not too creamy.
I guess I'm the odd man out here because whenever I get condensed soups or whatever, I don't put no water in them. Like even in the, I just pour it in a bowl and microwave it.
Wow. That's a lot.
So
of
you're
sodium.
eating paste, tomato paste, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last time I had tomato soup now at this point.
I love tomato soup.
I love it too. I just don't ever think to go get the cans. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, let's go get some grilled cheese, and then make the grilled cheese. Like, oh yeah, I forgot the tomato soup part of it. I've been getting like these broccoli and cheddar soups from the deli of the particular store that we ranted about their self-checkout lines and what could be happening in the future with all of those. Which, yeah,
which I don't know if you've noticed or not, but they're now installing like 50 to 100 pickup parking places.
Yeah, it's harder and harder to park, and especially if you're talking about the one on 23rd Street.
There's a reason that they're doing that, right? They did it. They did it over in on the beach, at Back Beach. They're doing it over. They've already done it at Front Beach.
Working on 23rd Street.
Now they're working on 23rd Street. And
so is Lynn Haven or Callaway next?
They don't want people going in the store. This is what they're trying to avoid. They want you to call. They'll bring it out to you.
It's trying to have less overhead, less employees to be actually doing stuff is what it is, I'm sure.
Yeah, so Hot Pocket flavor, sorry.
Oh, man. I think I would go with, it would be between pepperoni and ham and cheese. I would give the slight edge to pepperoni.
And, like, I won't do the Philly cheesesteak because, man, dude, I'm from Philly. Dude, you can't, man, if you're going to give me a cheesesteak, it needs to be the real deal. You can't give me some garbage.
Nah, you got your nose.
Phony.
You got your nose turned up in the air.
I'm a connoisseur when it comes to some stuff like that, yo.
All right, what's the best Philly cheese there then in Philly?
In Philly, I mean, Pat's and Geno's are the two everybody argues over. For me, it's like 6 one, half a dozen the other, pretty much. I will say,
so as long as it comes from Philly, you're good with it.
Well, no, not necessarily. Like, okay, like there's a place around here that's got a name that's like from my state. Yeah, it does a pretty good one that I'll get. There's a place up in the Atlanta area, Something Connection, that makes a pretty good sandwich up there when I lived up there, if they're still around. So, and another place called Great Steak Escape. I'll throw that name out there because there ain't nothing around here. Last place I went to one that had one was like down in Tampa, but I worked for one when I was in high school at a mall, and really good fries and cheesesteaks there. But you got to do it right, man. You have the right meat, the right bread, you have the right griddle, right mix, all that kind of stuff to throw it together.
There you go, man. Great Steak Escape. So you can go have an escape room and dinner all at the same time.
That'd be kind of cool. It'd be an idea.
There you go.
I think there's an NBA player, a former NBA player, looking for an escape right now.
Yeah, no doubt. He's looking for a job right now.
We've got a great show lined up for you this afternoon. He's going to be looking for a while. Maybe he'll see Pete Rose over there in Las Vegas. But we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. We're going to dive into our local scores. We've got Dave Ford on the line with us at 4:20. We'll be chatting with him about his new book, which is titled Show Up for You, Daily Motivation for the Grind, called Life. Then at 4:40, we'll dive into On This Day. Got a good one about the Philadelphia Phillies from 1971. We'll also dive into our headlines. There's a bunch of headlines swimming around out there today. So if that bleeds over into hour number 2, then we will go that direction. And then got 6 trends that we want to look at in Major League Baseball and see if we think that they will last or if they will not last. And then at 5:20, if we have time, talk a little bit about the NBA play-in tournament as the Lakers were able to get past the Pelicans last night. Zion Williams had 40 points, but went down with about 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. But very surprised, great season this year for Zion Williamson. Obviously inopportune to go down there in that game, but to play 70 games in an 82-game season for Zion Williamson is just something that we haven't seen to this point. So we'll talk a little bit more about those NBA play-in games today at 5:20. But the biggest headline, or one of the biggest headlines of today that AG was alluding to, the Toronto Raptors' Jontay Porter has been banned from the league after an investigation revealed that he had disclosed confidential information to bettors, limited his participation in at least one game while he was with the Raptors, and then also he bet on NBA games while playing in the G League. The NBA's investigation found that Porter revealed information about his own health to a known sports bettor ahead of a March 20th game against the Kings. Another bettor privy to the information placed an $80,000 same-game parlay bet that featured unders on Porter's stats and would win $1.1 million. That's according to the NBA. Porter played 3 minutes before leaving the game with an illness. The bet, which was placed at DraftKings, was not paid. The league investigation revealed Porter placed at least 13 bets on NBA games using an associate's online betting account. The bets range from $15 all the way up to $22,000, totaling $54,094. The NBA said that the total payout from those bets was $76,059. He ended up winning, and this is going to jumpstart him to his future career as an odds maker or something, or a professional bettor, because you can be that these days. Net winnings of $21,965. None of the bets involved any in which Porter played. Are we sure about that, though?
Right.
I mean, I guess we have to. They've uncovered a ton of information, so I guess we'll have to take them at their word there. So none of the bets involved any that he played in. 3 of the bets were parlays, including one that included a bet on the Raptors to lose, but all 3 bets lost, according to the NBA. So what are your guys' initial thoughts on this news breaking this afternoon?
It's a little concerning because he can't be the only one, right? I mean, this has to be something that, how many players did we see in the NFL last season that got hit?
What was there, 8 to 10?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I think this is one of those wake-up moments for all those that are out there that are doing this currently, inside of their own profession, whether, be it baseball, be it basketball, be it football. They're cracking down hard on this, right? And all these segments and all these quarters and these games are presented by DraftKings and FanDuel and ESPN Bet and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, these leagues have their main priority is to protect itself, right? Like we always say, protect the integrity of the shield. It's protect the integrity of Jerry West logo in this scenario, right? And so they had to come out with a hammer. And whether they can prove that he bet on himself or didn't, doesn't matter. Like, he's betting on his own team. Same thing with Pete Rose, right? Should he have gambled on his own team? Absolutely not. Even if he gambled on them to win every single game, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Does not matter.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying just how greedy and foolish. Okay, I got in football maybe where contracts are not guaranteed and you're a fringe player. I can see where maybe this might tempt you, but in the NBA, MLB, NHL, any of these, sports where you have guaranteed deals, why are you going to mess your money up like that? You have the guaranteed money. All you have to do is stay away from that, okay? And you got your check coming in. All right. Yeah. And like we're talking how much he was making, like $70,000 maybe.
As a player?
Well, I mean, like if he was gambling on those bets, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it said he made $21,000. So essentially he gambled $2 million, which is what his contract was to win $21,000.
That's what I'm saying. So you got $21,000 right there and you threw this away for that. Is it really worth it? I mean, come on.
I mean, I don't think that it's worth it. I am glad that that this is the direction that the league went, but I'm still curious if this was, I'm not even going to go to the likes of LeBron James, but if this was a guy like DeMar DeRozan who's at the tail end of his career, and you know what I mean, does it end up getting swept under the rug because he's got a bigger name than what Jonte Porter does, or has anyways, the brother of Michael Porter Jr., which I would have never, it took me 2 weeks into this story to find out that this was Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, finding that out from Max Delight. And so I'm glad, I'm fine with the punishment that ended up coming down from this, but I'm with you. I think that there's a little bit more tangles in the web, if you will.
There's more flies in that web.
Yeah, more flies in the web.
More flies in that web, right? And it's. I'm curious to see what those flies look like. Right?
Yeah, who are some of those?
That's
flies?
What I'm saying,
yeah.
Right? I mean, what if it's? Granted, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but what if it's Dame Lillard?
Yeah, that you're
going
right.
to Milwaukee and not working out, and and they're not winning as much as they should be, or what if it's Draymond Green and now you've got Golden State who's now eliminated from the playoffs?
I think the league would just be like, you're getting the same treatment as Jonte Porter if it was Draymond.
It's still one of those guys that people will go to the arenas to watch, and I don't know that it's one of those people, but if it is one of those people, there's some serious decisions that need to be made.
If it's a big name, they're just a degenerate gambler. Otherwise, I think it's just a fringe player that's looking to get some more money because they're not getting the endorsements. They're not getting, all the outside money that a lot of other players are. And they probably see, the lifestyle some other people that they're around are living, and they probably want to have a little bit of that too. And that might have been their temptation.
Johnny Yankee Seed says the NBA has a better commissioner in Adam Silver. Rob Manfred could never. I'm not going to get into my feelings on that per se because, I'm not the biggest fan of Rob Manfred in the world, but I'm also at the same time, I guess, not the biggest fan of Adam Silver, but I think that I'm just not a big fan of commissioners, right?
Right.
I think that's just what it boils down to. So, and what Rob Manfred has done for the game as far as rule changes and everything, hey, there's got to be something said about that, but how much does he actually care about the game of baseball compared to dollars? And at the end of the day, for all of these commissioners, really, do they care more about the sport, or do they care more about the sport advancing in the financial departments of the world? And that's what their main job is, right?
Their main job is to take care of their owners.
That's what I was going to say. It's not
take care of the owners.
They're speaking for the owners. This is really owners doing this. This isn't the commissioner. So when we say this and people saying, well, you really don't like the commissioner, well, you really just don't like the owners.
Fair there.
That's who he's working for. And that's who's directing, giving directives and memos to do this or that. So, that's just the collective of the ownership.
I don't like the commissioners. I don't like the owners. But where I was headed with that particular comment there from Johnny Yankee Seed about the NBA having a better commissioner, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was telling AG, honestly, is that the Ohtani news broke, right? And last night, or the other, what they come up with, Ipe surrendering, I think it was last Friday, right? And so essentially that situation has now been swept under the rug, or let's just not even say swept under the rug. That situation has been dealt with as far as Major League Baseball and Shohei Ohtani are concerned. And I was saying the other day, man, that was so fast. Like, there's got to be some loose ends not tied up or something like that. And, you know, this Jonte Porter situation, all of these details in the investigation have been released today, and the investigation is still ongoing, matter of fact. But the investigations were about the same timeline. So it's not like, you know, the Shohei Ohtani one was super fast and the Jonte Porter one took a little bit of time. No, they found out the information that they needed to find out. And so maybe the Shohei Ohtani situation is a little bit is more legitimate than what I'm giving it credit
about
for.
About Shohei, real quick, I would just do this too, being like, you know, the kind of fan that I am, and, you know, being from Philly, but going to a Dodger game, when Shohei goes out, I, you know, do like the treatment like people used to do for Barry Bonds, throwing like oversized syringes out onto the field, just start throwing poker chips, markers from like a casino out there, you know.
Or just start throwing their phones
just
out there.
I don't know about
with
that.
With the Hard Rock app or whatever app it is that they're using.
I think that'd be kind of cool though, you know, little trolling.
You think Dodgers fans would do that?
No. Like
opposing fans.
Like Philly fans or whoever, when you go into an opposing stadium or you're there, I think that'd be a good troll.
Phillies fans acting rowdy. That's a new one.
Yeah.
A novel concept.
Who in the world would have guessed that?
Creative.
Jack Patterson says, good afternoon. Hope you're doing well, Jack. Johnny Yankee Seed said, MLB screams rushed. To some extent, I agree. Then with the Jonte Porter situation, I believe that one did happen after the Shohei Ohtani situation. So, and I'm right there with you, with a lot of you guys. Like, something just feels off about it. However, there's nothing, like, no matter what we want to come of it, I don't think until, 10, 15 years down the road, until we're watching documentaries about it, then we'll learn a little bit more about the Shohei Ohtani situation.
And on Porter, it's really easy. I mean, like I said, he's a fringe player. He's a nobody, right? So getting rid of him and axing him, throwing him to the wolves, nobody's going to care. Now, if it was Dame Lillard, like, Adam said, or like, somebody else like that, then it'd be a lot harder of a decision for them to do something like that. And they'd probably, throw those test balloons out there to see which way the wind's blowing before they make the decision on something.
Well, there you go. The Atlanta Braves last night took down the Astros 6-2. Reynaldo Lopez, in the absence of Spencer Strider, which he was going to be in the rotation regardless of the injury to Spencer Strider or not, dazzling again, struck out 7 over 6 scoreless innings last night. I believe he gave up 4 hits. He's given up 1 run in 18 innings so far this year. ERA of .5. The Braves right now in the top of the 10th are on top of the Houston Astros 5-4. 2 back-to-back big 9th innings for the Atlanta Braves, though last night pushing, I believe, 4 in the 9th inning. So, man, Aaron Bummer came in, had a little bit of a bummer of a performance and let it get a little too close, and Raciel Iglesias came in and shut him down in the bottom of the 9th to get his 4th save of the year. A little piece of news that we did not touch on yesterday, but Ozzie Albies is heading to the 10-day IL with a broken right big toe. So in his place, David Fletcher had his contract selected from Gwinnett to take Albie's place on the roster, and they also have that minor league deal, which I believe they've already bumped him up to the show as well, and Yuli Gurriel. So, and that is, and we had a scary moment last night in right field as well, where Ronald Acuna Jr. went sliding for a fly ball and I guess maybe misjudged it a little bit. The ball ended up hitting him on his knee, and looked like he was in a lot of pain. And man, that would have been really a tough start. Strider, Acuna, and Albies all going out early in the year. But you were saying earlier, just something doesn't feel right about the Atlanta Braves. What have you been seeing, and what makes you say that?
There's something right now that's not clicking. I don't know if it's the injuries. I don't know if it's the feeling that maybe the team has that everything is on their shoulders because there's no reinforcements coming right now, right? Relying on Marcelo Zuna at this point, I mean, he can't keep up this pace, right? I mean, he had a great year last year. His second half was phenomenal.
I hope so. I got him on fantasy.
Yeah, there we go.
But
hey, if Rick's rooting for him, come on now.
I got no wins, man. I'm like at the bottom. There's one person worse than me.
But he can't keep up this pace. And relying on him to carry you is a recipe for disaster, right? Kalinick has been a great add-on.
Yeah.
So, AA, another stellar move, A+.
Yeah.
I love Adam Duvall. I love Adam Duvall, right? Played Louisville, so actually from Louisville. But there's just something weird about the team. I don't know. There's a vibe that I get when I'm watching them that I don't feel like it's the Braves of last year, right? And
so what that could be is a non-meltdown Braves.
And maybe
Braves...
said again, it's early, right? We're, 18 games into the season, right? But there's something weird going on there that I can't quite put my finger on. But
well, the Ronald Acuna Jr., first home run of the season, finally getting that one done today. So good for him. Max Fried, just not good, honestly. I mean, not saying that Max Fried isn't good. I'm saying the start to the season for Max Fried is not what you wanted with or without Spencer Strider. Then you lose Spencer Strider, and I think at one point in the game today, fourth inning or so, he had 4 walks already, and it's just like that's been consistent for you in your first 3 or 4 starts. So hopefully he can turn that around, because I don't have a lot of faith in Max Fried if he's walking a lot. Charlie Morton's getting up there in age, and we still don't know about Chris Sale. Like, we can have all of the fireworks from Reynaldo Lopez, but at the end of the day, who's going to be the guys who are getting the start when we get into playoff
Fried's
baseball?
your ace now, right? Without Strider now, right?
I mean,
so maybe it's the pressure, maybe him being
like
the number
Rhino
one guy.
in name only or whatever.
Well, and I mean, like we talked about that with Jay yesterday about like how there's like a lack of aces, in the MLB. But I'm just saying, if you look at it that way, maybe it's kind of like, he's just kind of having some struggles because he is the guy. And he had somebody in front of him.
Well, and there's a contract coming up potentially as well that I'm sure is looming. And, whether or not it's looming large, I guess will be up to AA. But there's something to be said for some of these guys and how they handle contract years. Yeah. Right? I mean, there's some guys that absolutely excel and they step up to the plate, no pun intended, or actually, I guess pun intended.
Step up to the rubber.
Or step up to the rubber in this case, right? And exceed expectations, right? And then they get that other contract. Some of them fall on their keister after that. Some of them go on to have phenomenal careers. Then you see some players that just can't handle it. And I'm not saying that about Max Fried, but again, it's really early in the season. There's a 162-game season. But, not having Strider there to be the focal point, now he's the focal point of the rotation, and he's got contract coming up, and he's not pitching well. The ugly trifecta. And when it's NFL season, we have overreaction Monday. When it's baseball season, we have overreaction first 2 months. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Dave Ford joins us next. We're going to be talking about his new book, Show Up For You, Daily Motivation for the Grind Called Life. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
The Coach James Hale Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9. We try to cover Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, all the SEC teams, and, of course, Florida State. We also look into what's going on locally every single day right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're asking you to do us a favor. If you wouldn't mind, would you go and vote for us, the Best of Bay? We'd like to be nominated for that. Don't forget the Coach James Hale Show right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The remainder of the day, partly sunny and a temperature of 77 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. A mixture of slight fog and mostly clouds tonight, very little wind and quite warm near 67. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by mostly clouds and 77 tomorrow. 79 and some sun Friday. This is your Wednesday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
Hometown Sports Talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And your Atlanta Braves just took down the Houston Astros in 10 innings following a 6-4-3 double play there. Off the bat of Jeremy Pena. So Braves win 5-4. Good stuff there to keep it rolling. We just need AG to come on every Wednesday and say, I just don't like what those Atlanta Braves are doing. You know what I don't like is what the Houston Astros are doing. But that is another story for another time. We'll see if they can get things headed in the right direction. As you mentioned earlier at the tail end of that segment, or at the end of that segment, rather, baseball is a long season, and we are very early into it. But now bringing on to the line with us, we've got Dave Ford. He's a communications and journalism professional, having spent his career working for and covering the NFL, NHL, NCAA, and public sector news and the U.S. government. Dave, how's it going today?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Not a whole lot. Michigan Eddie, I don't know if you're familiar, if you've ever called him Michigan Eddie, but Eddie Horde, I believe is his last name. He said to say hello.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, me and Michigan Eddie go way back. Met him back in the VAR, and went out to one of his Michigan alumni parties back in the day. Yeah, I love Michigan Eddie.
And there you go, and you were hooked from then on. But tell us about your book that was published in August, Show Up For You, Daily Motivation for the Grind Called Life. That's a great title, by the way.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was an odyssey that I tried to encapsulate of 3 years worth of coaching quotes that were all original content that I came up with. Been running a Facebook motivation page for going on 4 years now, and I kept putting out daily reminders that, we all need a kick in the pants, even the stronger of us out there who are motivated self-starters. We go through peaks and valleys where we need somebody to tell us that we're worthy of good things, that we need to keep striving for more and to be grateful. And but it actually goes back to my firstborn child, my daughter, who she was diagnosed with bipolar 1. And I started coaching her through that, and just accidentally one day came up with saying, hey, you need to show up for you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about everybody else's expectations. And, our young people right now, they're suffering from a lot of anxiety and a lot of uncertainty. And so I enjoy mentoring young people through that, and that's really what the genesis of my book is all about.
What would you say contributes the most or significantly to the anxiety and uncertainty that the young people are facing today? Is that more social media, or are there other factors that you could point to?
It's a great question. And, yeah, I do. I was just having this conversation with my fiance the other day. I really do say that social media has a lot to do with it, because I'm Gen X, and our generation was pretty quiet, meaning that you really had to be active and diligent to seek out what was going on in the news. Like, you had to sit down on the floor in the living room because you only had one TV in the house, with your parents. So I know I'm dating myself right now with that comment, but that's just really how it was. And it was like life that is portrayed in Stranger Things. I love that show because it shows exactly what the 80s were like. And you had to get outside and entertain yourself. And if you didn't know what was going on in the world, man, you were better off for it. But now the kids are connected from the second that they wake up to the second that they go to bed. There's a lot of cyberbullying out there, and you just can't seem to get away from it. Now, I know we all make choices in life, and we can put that phone down and we can turn the computer off. But this generation revolves around social media, and social media revolves around it. And there's no really getting away from it. And you have to be very, very intentional about not listening to the negativity out there, because there's a whole lot of it.
Yeah, and you can put the phone down, but as soon as you pick that phone back up, it's going to be right there waiting for you regardless. And that's a great take there, Dave. What would you say is your favorite quote from the book that you put together?
Oh, my goodness. Put me on the spot. I would say one that actually wasn't mine. I'm going to go ahead and be humble about this. One that was not mine that I actually saw on a restaurant wall a few years back says, choose the harder right rather than the easier wrong. Oh. And that one hits deep because of the fact that, again, I use that word intentional. Look, it's easy to be negative. It's easy to take the easy way out. But you've really got to be about that life of discipline if you're trying to be a better person, a better individual. And something that I personally strive to be is the best father I can be every day. I have 2 kids who are 20 and 17, and that is job number 1 for me. Everything else comes secondary to that. And family comes first, and I take that very seriously. And so I really teach lateral across the board when it comes to coaching, mentoring, motivational speaking, and parenting. I do it all the same, and that's with integrity. And that's where that show up for you comes from. It's not about being selfish. It's about being selfless. Because if you don't pour into yourself, you can't pour into other people.
Ooh, you're preaching right now, Mr. Dave. Preaching. What would be your number 1 tip? Let's say that one of our listeners right now is tuning in and they've been struggling with discipline lately, and they're trying on that path. They're on that path for trying to be the best man that they can be each and every day. And like you said, there's mountains and there's valleys. What would be your main tip for someone who's struggling with discipline?
You got to live your life how your future self would thank you. And I think that goes for young to old. And again, I hold myself accountable. I don't say anything to anybody that I'm not doing myself.
Yeah.
I am harder on myself than I am on anybody else. And there's some days I'm too hard on myself. And there's some days I got to take a step back and really say, look, this is not realistic. You really got to take a deep breath. And you got to give yourself grace, and that's one I like a lot too. And that's not mine. That's all over the place. But I do try to practice that. You have to give yourself grace in moments of adversity, and but also be humble and show gratitude when something did go your way. And I try to do that every single morning. I try to do just a moment of gratitude, and it's really not so much about preaching. It's just about trying to live a life that not only can you be proud of, but that, there's got to be some way that we can, like I said, get these kids off the mat. And I'm not saying they're all struggling. They're not. There's a lot of kids I've coached who are striving, and it's not because of me. It's because they really work hard at having a great attitude. They work hard in the classroom, and they do have at least one good parent, that's really pushing them. And obviously it's ideal to have 2 great parents. But the stats show that that's just not something that's normal anymore, and it's very unfortunate. I come from a divorced household, and I've been through divorce as well. So, adversity is my middle name, but it's just one of those things that you have to brush yourself off. You've got to keep going. And just because today might have been hard, you just don't know what tomorrow's going to be. And a lot of the hashtags I've been doing lately are just live today. Don't worry about tomorrow. You got to get the most out of what today is going on, and hopefully, finding your smile at the end of the day.
Mm. Well, Dave, I think we all can agree with that, and we appreciate you coming on. It's AG here. How can listeners obtain a copy of the book?
It's on Amazon, and you just type in "Show Up For You," and it's the first one that pops up. Pretty simple, and I appreciate you asking. And it's one of those things that I'll tell you something. People don't read a lot these days. And so to be an author, to be a writer, times are tough, but it's a very easy read. It's not the standard book. It's literally 365 pages, which is one message a day. So I'm pretty sure everybody can handle that because of, people spend about 20 minutes about every 2 hours on social media. So I think they can spend a couple minutes on themselves trying to enrich what they can do in their lives every day. And let's be honest, we all can do better. We all can do better in getting some positivity out there, because I don't know about y'all, but every time I'm driving around town, man, there's a lot of angry people. And that's taking the easy way out. And road rage is winning the day, and kindness is not. So, yeah, it's easy to find. And I had a few people suggest try to do an audio book, but unfortunately software does not it's not very easy to do that. They want you to have chapters. My book does not have chapters. It's just literally just turn the page, just like life.
You just say it's 365 chapters. I'd be like, whoa.
Right, no, not at all.
Hey, and that's one of those things, for someone who's listening, and if you are struggling with discipline, well, as soon as you wake up, read a page, read that page, and you start with small little things, and then next thing you know, you're knocking down walls. You've been coaching since you were 17, Dave, at Lakes High School in Pasco. What made you, that's where you got your start at, what made you want to get into coaching at that age while you were still a senior in high school?
Yeah, Land O'Lakes High School, it's one of those things where it goes up where the butter is made. I had to get over that joke for a long time. No, small town in Pasco, and what made me get into coaching? Well, it was really accidental, just to be completely honest and transparent. It was completely accidental. I was still trying to live out my hoop dreams, man. I had big, big dreams of where I wanted to be, where I wanted to go. Basketball was an obsession for me, and I absolutely loved it, and I still do today. But it was just kind of one of those things where I learned about myself that I'm a sucker for a challenge. And some of the popular guys on the team, they said, well, we're going to coach. And they needed a fourth coach. And I'm like, man, I'll do it. And they're like, you? Because I was a grinder. I was a glue guy. I wasn't a highlight kind of guy. I could slash to the hole and I could hit threes, but that was not a big deal back then in the early 90s. It's not the step days that it is now. And I wasn't the most popular guy in school, but they were like, look, Ford, why don't you take this on and see how this goes? And so they literally gave me the last of the players that were available. And not trying to be mean, but I had one kid on my team that could barely dribble. Everybody else, they were happy to be there, right?
Yeah.
And so I took what I had, and before you knew it, we ended up in the league championship, and we won the whole dang thing. So
nice.
I looked at those guys and said, hey, I guess you're not too happy that you challenged me. And so ever since then, I got the coaching bug. And I love telling that story. It gives me goosebumps every time, because not only did I learn about myself, but looking at those young boys in that huddle, knowing that I believed in them, and they went out there and they won it, that was the start of something really special for me.
Go ahead.
Underdogs.
Absolutely, man. I've been living my whole life like that.
That's a great way to live life as well. And I just had my first experience in coaching this past year, did basketball over there at First Baptist, and then had the opportunity to be the defensive coordinator for Ryan Mulvey and Team Dynasty in flag football. And, man, I tell you what, there's just nothing like it. I would recommend and encourage anyone, especially if you're a complainer about youth sports, get involved in youth sports and kind of be that difference that you seek to see. But, yeah, some of the huddles and just seeing the guys and how they would react to what Coach Ryan would say, and the motivation he would give to them, and they would feed off of that. And like you said, just those kids knowing that someone believes in them, that changes the way that they look at things at that point. And it's been absolutely rewarding just for me selfishly in that sense, but also seeing these kids grow is such a beautiful thing. What would you say the toughest part of being a coach is, Dave?
Wow. Trying to show grace when things don't go your way. because, when you're an athlete, which is, like I said, that's how I started, that never really goes away. To pull from, a Rocky movie where he says, you still got stuff in the basement. That never goes away. It's always right there under the surface. And there are times where you have to remind yourself, look, man, this ain't about you. It's about these kids. And, you're here to lead them. You're not here to go out there on the court and solve the problem for them. And I know that, that might sound, strange and deep to a lot of people, but sometimes it's right there under the surface that you don't forget where you came from and that you have to say, look, this is one of the most unselfish things I can do is to volunteer, coach these young people. And it's not about the wins and losses at the end of the day. It's really not. Now, look, I'm one of the fiercest competitors out there. I'm always looking at the scoreboard, and I'm always keeping score in life. But what I really keep score of is getting that kid to graduation, getting that kid going across the stage. Can I try and get him to college? And what I tell kids on the first day of training camp is this is not about what that scoreboard says. This is about what that scoreboard outside these walls say. Can you survive out there? And not only survive, are you going to be a good person for yourself, to your parents? Can you hold a good conversation? All these things are building blocks. So it's just like putting those weights up in the weight room and doing those marks on, hey, what did I lift today? What did you lift with your brain today? What did you lift with your emotional and mental intelligence today? Those things carry a lot more worth in life.
Dave, we're out of time. I want to ask you one more, though. We are out of time, but it's all right. We can go over right here. So now you're on game day communication staff for the Bucks, but you've worked in the NFL, NHL, NCAA. What is an experience that you've had that stands out to you? Your favorite experience?
Okay, I'll tell you what. This is an easy one for me. So I never got to meet Tom Brady. And that was something I really want to do because I hold him in the highest esteem. He is the greatest motivational speaker on the planet Earth right now. But it's hard to put this into words. I knew when he was in the building. And so what that means is there's very little times that you're in the same space as someone who is the very best at what they do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And being around him on a game day, not only did you know he was there, you knew he was going to go out there and perform. And you knew he was going to do what he does. So to watch that, to be around greatness like that is something that enriched me, and I will never, ever forget it. And, to be, for the Bucks to be my all-time favorite team, I mean, I'm a hometown Tampa guy. To see that guy quarterback in my team is probably the greatest experience in the business for me. I mean, I absolutely love it. I'm a sports nerd to the core. I love the communications industry, but to be around greatness like that is really something that I just can't put into words. I try to, but it was an amazing, amazing time.
Wow, that is awesome stuff. And Dave, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. It will absolutely not be the last time that we have you on. And again, thank you for coming on with us, and we will chat with you here in the future. All right, my friend?
Hey, listen, anytime. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Y'all take care, okay? Be blessed.
All right, you do the same. That is Dave Ford, author of the new book, Show Up For You, Daily Motivation for the Grind Called Life. You can go find that on Amazon. Also, as we mentioned, game day communication staff for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we're going to have to get him on to talk about the Tampa Bay Bucks and how he feels about them for 2024. And I'm sure he's got a lot of other great stories. That was an interview right there that I'm going to go back to and listen to later and, just kind of implement some of those things into my life, because that's been one of the trails that I'm on is working on the discipline and trying to be the best version of David Hayes that I can each and every day. And then, at the times that I don't live up to the person that I'm trying to be, giving myself grace and trying to face that in adversity. So great stuff there from Dave Ford. I absolutely appreciate it. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We're going to be right back with some On This Day and trivia. No trivia. Just On This Day.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's Here's what's happening.
What's up? This is David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, and I would appreciate your nomination in the Best of Bay 2024. I'm running on a platform eliminating boring radio and bringing more exciting sports talk to Bay County. To nominate the Afternoon Underdogs in the category of Best Radio Show in Bay County, go to ESPNPC.com and click Best of Bay. This message brought to you by ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The remainder of the day, partly sunny and a temperature of 77 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. A mixture of slight fog and mostly clouds tonight, very little wind and quite warm near 67. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by mostly clouds and 77 tomorrow. 79 and some sun Friday. This is your Wednesday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey there, folks. Looking for a place that feels like home right in the heart of Panama City? Well, look no further than Charlie Corm's Place at their new location on 15th Street. Charlie Corm's is not just a place, it's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
When the sun sets on the Emerald Coast, the freaks come out and play.
Hi, I'm a recovering crackhead.
Hand me that shotgun.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Get on your knees!
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey, what are you doing up on the steps?
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs in the Doghouse. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Russia. We're going to read a couple of comments. If you go to YouTube right now, there's two comments from someone, I don't know, but it's in Russian. So that's ESPN Northwest Russia.
Right.
Oh, man. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. That was Dave Ford who was on the line with us. Don't forget to go to ESPNPC.com. I'll figure out how to do that real quick.
Northwest Russia, what's that, like Siberia?
I really don't know, man.
Just being smart,
break a globe out, man. Did y'all, man?
Don't have
y'all miss globes?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like we used to mess with them when we were kids, and seeing different places. I mean, it makes you smarter.
There you go. Makes you smarter. But yeah, go to ESPNPC.com, click on Best of Bay 2024, and go nominate the Coach James Hell Show, the Inside Drive, and the Afternoon Underdogs. Get all three of us in there, and then once you get all three of us in there with your nominations, let's push all of our votes on the Inside Drive. How you guys feel about that?
Let's go, Ryan.
Let's go, Ryan. That's what I'm talking about. We had the Rally for Ryan golf tournament over there at Bay Point Golf Club last Friday. It was a great time, man. Got to meet a lot of great people, play golf with some great folks, and then had Ryan take a celebrity shot for all my beer pongers out there. You know exactly what it is I'm talking about. Ryan came up and did a celebrity putt for me from 50 foot out and made it. Drained it, bro.
Wow.
Just absolute stuff made for Hollywood. There's no doubt about that. All right, we'll dive into some on this day. Don't forget, you guys can call or text us at 850-215-6290. I've been a little bit lazy with trivia this week. We're not doing the race to Talladega, and we were doing the race to Talladega in place of
Did I hear
trivia.
that right? 1 second?
1 second for Richard Bowden. Yeah, he's heading to Talladega. He got the garage experience to go along with it. Our other winners were Jerry Register and Drew Gearhart. So, I mean, to have a last name like Gearhart, you got to be going to Talladega. They're going to be up there in the towers, and they'll be there for the Xfinity and the Cup Series race this coming Sunday. I hope they have a great time On this day in 1860, I wish I would have. Normally, when I come across one that I don't really know about, I try to go read a little bit further upon it so I can have something else to say about it. But a lot of the times I run out of time for that. 1860, though, champion of England Tom Sayers and American John Heenan fight out a brutal 2-hour and 27-minute draw near Farnborough, England, and the police have to come in and stop the fight. It was acknowledged as the first world title bout. Caveman Rick, that would be your type of boxing, huh? 2 hours and 27 minutes. Do you think they had rounds, or was it just one round and one round only?
I don't know. I don't see how you can go that long, to be honest. I mean, like, there's got to be breaks. I mean, normal boxing is 3 minutes around and you sit for a minute, right? We watched hockey fights. Those guys don't usually go more than about 30 seconds. I mean, when you're swinging, I don't know if people have done that before. I haven't done a lot, but just standing around and throwing punches, it's pretty tiresome. You got to have a lot of stamina. For me, to go for 2.5 hours, it's pretty crazy.
For me, it reminds me, it makes me wonder if that fight actually took place in one location, or like was it an actual ring? Yeah. Because I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's an old movie, it's a John Wayne movie called The Quiet Man.
Okay.
And he ends up fighting the father of the woman that he's intending to marry, and it's really funny there at the end, and the last 45 minutes of the movie is just them two fighting. Like, and it's all over the countryside of I think it was Ireland at that time. But absolutely hysterical. The local priest is taking bets from people and stuff on who's going to win it.
It's stuff. Like Peter Griffin and the chicken,
right? So right. So it just reminds. So it just makes me think of The Quiet Man and how awesome that movie was.
A lot of alcohol involved with this, I'm sure.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah, a lot of whiskey.
Yeah,
it's England. It could be like, just lager. It could just be like beer or something, ale.
So, I mean, I'm not going to read this whole article because it's rather long, but so John Carmel Heenan, 25, had made a belligerent name for himself as an enforcer in rigged elections in and around the sweatshops of the steamship dockyards.
So he was a good guy. Is that what you're saying?
Gambling backers, so this guy was a good buddy of Shohei Ohtani. Gambling backers and buddies had nominated him as the All-American champ to take on England's famed title holder, the 34-year-old Tom Sayers, a small, clever little ring general, as the public prince described. So, man, I should have read a little bit more about this, but yeah, it looks it was in fields near the tiny village of Farnborough. So,
John Heenan. I wonder if he's related to Bobby the Brain Heenan from the world of WWF back in the 80s.
I don't know.
Be kind of crazy.
Oh, man, this is wild. 2 hours, 27 minutes, 42 rounds. So they did break it down into rounds. 42 rounds. Oh, man. And then the police came in there and broke it up. So it was like backyard wrestling back in the day. And the next thing you know, whoop, whoop, you ain't allowed to do this. This is illegal. And they broke it all down. But they ended up sharing the purse of 400 pounds. So
that's a lot of money back then.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot of money. And there was 30,000 people. Oh, wait, no, that's when he was passed away for his funeral. There was 30,000 people at Heenan's funeral. So there you have it. That's what happened back in the day in 1860. 1892, you had the first Sunday National League baseball game, and AG was excited about this one. The Reds beat the Cards 5-1 in 1892. In 1947, Jackie Robinson bunts for his first major league hit. In 1972, Kiteman, attempting to throw out the first ball in the Philly vet, crashes into center field seats. You never heard nothing about that?
No.
All right, so in 1971, the Philadelphia Phillies ringed in the new season by having their backup catcher catch a ball thrown from a helicopter. In 1972, in an ambitious attempt to outdo themselves, the Phillies booked a man who skydived off cliffs with a kite on his back to deliver the first pitch at Veterans Stadium. But the players went on strike and delayed the start of the season by a full week. Kite Man, as the Phillies had advertised him, had had prior arrangements when the season began and was unable to deliver the pitch on opening day. Desperate for someone to fill his place, the team hired Richard Johnson, a hardware store owner who occasionally flew kites in shows, to be the new Kite Man. And so it was on opening day that Kite Man stood atop the center field stands, more than 38,000 people watching anxiously. The plan was for Johnson to hop on the giant 140-foot ramp that had been set up, ski down it, become airborne, and deliver the ceremonial game ball to Philadelphia Mayor Frank Rizzo, who was waiting at home plate. But as Johnson surveyed the scene, which had become complicated with a surge of wind, he started to have second doubts. The PA announcer announced Kite Man several times, but the man simply stood at the top of the ramp, absolutely petrified. The Phillies fans started to
jeer.
Boo. Yeah. Finally coaxed by the now dissatisfied crowd, he slowly began his descent. Johnson made it halfway down the upper deck when a gust of wind blew him off the chute and into the seats, where he tumbled for several rolls before he reached the railing. Kite Man was unharmed. Though the Phillies fans hardly cared about his safety, they were now booing louder than ever. Johnson untangled himself from the kite outfit and stood at the foot of the 600 level, the game ball still in his hand. Feeling the need to fulfill his obligation, he attempted to hurl the ball to home plate. Instead, he threw it into the Phillies bullpen 400 feet from the diamond. Again, the fans booed. Team chairman Bill Giles, who later remarked that a dead body is not a good omen for the start of a baseball season, he was relieved that Johnson hadn't died. However, he wasn't nearly as receptive when he was asked about it after the game. He said he never even practiced. He had the opportunity for a test run the day before in an empty stadium, but he said, if I'm going to kill myself, I want more people to witness it.
Wow.
The Phillies, not deterred by the fiasco of 1972, attempted the stunt multiple times in later years with similar results. It wasn't until 1990, according to the book Veteran Stadium, Field of Memories, that Pete Bonifay, the fourth man to don the Kate moniker, actually delivered the ball from the bleachers to home plate. He repeated this stunt in 95, 99, and in 2003.
I think we just found Caveman Rick's new Halloween costume.
No.
Kite Man.
I won't be doing that.
Dude, that would be a heck of a comic book. The Kite Man failing.
I don't know, not about failing.
Well,
I like the fact that the fans booing. Like, I mean, we need to like patent that. How whenever other fans do the horns down, like they'll get flagged. At games and stuff like that. If other fans use the booing, that's our thing, man. They should penalize them.
Highly disagree there, but the Kite Man that's not y'all's thing. Like,
no, it's ours. It's what we're known for. Come on, man.
I mean,
give credit where credit's due.
Right, but that's like
I don't think
Ohio State
invented booing. Right?
Yeah, it's like Ohio State be like, we're the Ohio State.
It's like, who cares if we invented it? We're the ones that's making it like in vogue and the one people are talking about.
We'll give you D batteries. How about that?
Nah.
No, it's not going to work for you.
We don't do the D batteries that much. We do the booing.
All right, but everyone does the booing, though. All right, we'll move.
Are they still dancing on their own in Philadelphia? Is that a thing?
Dancing on their own?
Yeah, after the game is over and they win, they all sing, I'm just dancing on my own.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've been to a game, and usually the games are turned off.
This was like in the postseason they were doing it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see them win a few more games and find out. 1983, Nolan Ryan strikes out his 35th, 100th batter. In 1987, Bill Murray fills in for Harry Carey. I believe that was because Harry Carey ended up having a stroke, and so Bill Murray came in for him and filled in for that game. 1997, Devil Martin Brodeur is the second NHL goalie to score in a playoff game. NHL playoffs right upon us. And who was the first goalie to score in a playoff game?
Everybody should know. Ron Hextall, first to do it regular season game, first to do it in a playoff game.
1999 NFL Draft. The University of Kentucky quarterback Tim Couch, first pick by the Cleveland Browns. Did you think he was going to be as big of a bust as what he ended up being?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I mean, you could just watch him. I mean, he was dink and dunk. It was the air raid offense, which basically equated to him throwing it 3 yards to Craig East and Craig East running it for 70 yards down the field. And that's basically what... now, could he throw a good deep ball? He absolutely could. Did they a lot at Kentucky? No, they didn't.
I think it had a lot to do with the team that drafted him.
I think that's part of it as well. It's part of it as well. But if I remember correctly, I think he started off the season fairly well his rookie year, maybe, and then it kind of tailed off after that. But maybe I'm wrong, but it was a long time ago. It was like 25 years.
In 2007, the Nationals, where we've got some back-to-back Nationals here real quick, they wore the Virginia Tech caps the day after the Virginia Tech massacre, in which a Virginia Tech student killed more than 30 fellow classmates in the deadliest school shooting to occur inside of the United States. The Washington Nationals paid their respects in an email to Nationals president Stan Kasten. A fan named Dave Lanham suggested that the Nats wear Virginia Tech caps to show their support. They got permission from the commissioner's front office or the commissioner's office, and yeah, they ended up getting Virginia Tech baseball caps. That was really cool. And then the next one was a fail 2 years later, 2009. Zimmerman and who was the other? Ryan Zimmerman and Adam Dunn were wearing Nationals jerseys that did not have the O, so it was the Nationals jerseys. Yeah, and only their two best players. This is following a 102-loss season, and they're going to be on a game early in the season wearing some messed up jerseys after a 102-loss season.
Was Fanatics involved in that fiasco too?
I think that's where they got their start, and that's where Nike was like, hey, you know what? We're going to take over the MLB jersey game, and then we're just going to pawn it off to Fanatics, and this thing is just going to be a beautiful mess from here on out. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, it is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer, number 9.
Saturday, April 27th at Bay Haven Charter Academy. In the main event, it's a tag team showdown with Exodus versus Mike Steele and Mr. 850. Plus exciting women's wrestling. Tickets still just $12. Ages 6 to 17, only $8. 5 and under, free.
More information, ESPNPC.com.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Wednesday's weather. Tonight there will be a calm wind, a mixture of slight fog and mostly clouds, and 67. Mostly clouds and slight fog tomorrow morning, about the same at 75. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 76. About the same at 80 Friday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
From the pros to the future pros, we're your home team station for home team sports. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back for hour number 2. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Adam Goff and Caveman Rick. And ESPN Northwest Florida is presenting Wrestling Against Cancer number 9. This is going to be Saturday, April 27th at Bay Haven Charter Academy. All proceeds go to benefit Jaden's medical expenses. Tickets are going to be $12. Kids 6 through 17 get in for $8. 5 and under get in for free with a paid adult. The doors open at 5:30 and the bell will ring at 6:30. And there's also going to be former WCW wrestler and WWE referee Scott Armstrong will be there. So go ahead and get your tickets now. Let's pack out the Bay Haven Charter Academy. I'm going to be doing the ring announcing over there. You're going to have Emily Locke and Casey Lennox. Casey Lennox has been on AEW. Savannah Thorne and T. Gaines. They're going to be tag team partners in a tag match at Wrestling Against Cancer 9. Should be a great time. In fact, we're going to have Callie Mann taking on Kelly Clark, Mr. Personality. That'll be a great match as well. A couple of scores to get to. High school softball from last night. Bay trounced Rocky Bayou Christian 19-2. Vernon took down Poplar Springs 17-2. Sneads gets the better of Weewall 15-6. Cottondale with a shutout over Alpha 1-0. Bozeman by 10 over Chipley 11-1. Holmes County beats Port St. Joe by 3 10-7. Mariana over Liberty 5-3. Malone over Graceville by just one run in a game that I'm sure was a lot of fun 18-17. Mosley run rules Rutherford 10-0. North Bay Haven over Walton 5-1. And Taylor beats Franklin 3-2. In high school baseball, it was Poplar Springs beating Weewall by 12 15-3. Niceville by 9 over Mosley 10-1. Bainbridge beats Liberty 11-4. Port St. Joe over Sneads 11-3. Wakulla Christian beats Alpha 18-3. Walton over Rutherford in a more traditional baseball score 3-1. Same score for Franklin over Bay 3-1 Franklin's way. Laurel Hill falls to Baker 16-8. Jade 10, Chipley 0. Ponce de Leon beats Malone 15-1. Paxton shuts out Pleasant Home in a not so pleasant score 16-0. Holmes beats North Bay Haven 6-1. Gulf Breeze by 1 over South Walton 2-1. And Wakulla shuts out Bluntstown 19-0.
A lot of shellackings.
Lot of shellackings going on. All right, so we finished up on this day for the most part. We missed 2001. Barry Bonds hitting his 500th home run. 2007, no, we got that. 2009, we had the Nationals jersey, no O, but also Gary Sheffield getting number 500 playing for the New York Mets. We did get a text in from Jackson State Jeff. He said, shouldn't be any surprise. His last name was Couch. What can you expect? So, yeah, there you go, man. Wow. Great stuff for Tim Couch there.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, his last name was Couch. So
yeah, he's sitting on it now.
He is sitting on it. He is sitting on it.
He started that long, laundry list of quarterback names too from the Browns ever since they came back. Yeah, no doubt, he was the first.
Trevor Bauer, accuser, has been indicted for fraud. The indictment, which was issued by a grand jury in Maricopa County, also charged the woman with felony theft by extortion against the other person who is not associated with Bauer. His attorney told ESPN the woman who sued Bauer in 2022 accused him of choking her unconscious, raping her, and getting her pregnant in late 2020. The woman also alleged 4 other incidents during which Bauer physically assaulted her, according to court filings that were initially made in December of 2022 and then updated in June of 23. According to earlier court filings, the woman's attorney sent a demand letter to Bauer in January of 22 seeking $3.6 million in payment. That followed 2 in-person meetings in which she requested $1 million. The filings detailed that Bauer had sent the victim $8,761.09 spread out over 5 Venmo transactions between December of 20 and April of 21 for alleged medical expenses accrued by the woman. The woman was the 4th person to accuse Bauer of sexual assault. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office declined to bring charges against Bauer last February for claims made by a San Diego woman in 21. The 2 other women also alleged similar interactions with Trevor in the past, as first reported by the Washington Post, and Bauer has maintained denying any wrongdoing, and he is playing baseball right now for Mexico. So this is one of those rare instances, though, where someone who is accusing someone of something actually gets the get back for kind of running their name through the mud. Now, who know? You know, like
good luck collecting.
None of us were there, you know, for any of the entanglements. Isn't that what Will Smith's wife used? Entanglements?
I guess so. Yeah. For me, there's people that do a lot of heinous things, right? And my thing is to each their own. If whatever you do that helps you in your life in some way, shape, or form or capacity, fine. Just don't harm others, right? So, people have weird eccentricities. They have things that they enjoy that others don't. Do I think that Trevor Bauer is a good person? Probably not. He's probably not. But has he done anything wrong in a court of law right now to say that he is not eligible to play in Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
I don't think he has. At least there hasn't been anything. He's not been, criminally charged with anything.
Right.
So, do I think he should be back in baseball? Absolutely. Until they prove that he has done something wrong, absolutely. My biggest thing with Trevor Bauer is I don't think that this is the reason he's not getting back into baseball.
Right. It
has more to do with the substances and all that other stuff, and him calling everybody out and calling out Major League Baseball and saying that I don't need the substances, everybody else does. And then, of course,
using them.
Right. And then, of course, 3 months later, then we get a in-season rule change. You're not allowed to use substances. So there's more to it, but it's... Should he be back in baseball? Legally, yes.
Yeah. And I wish a team would take a flyer on him. I would be all.
He's
for
willing to
him.
take league minimum,
right? And that's what's so surprised. That's how you know that something's just not right here, because he's came out and said he would take league minimum. I'm sure that there is quite a few teams that would sign him at league minimum if they knew that they would be just fine and not have to deal with what Rob Manfred and the rest of the league owners want to do to the other 29 teams at that point in time. My question would be, do you think that he would still sign and pitch for a team that doesn't look to be a contender, like the Oakland A's reach
back
out
in the game?
Yeah,
right. I mean, at this point, he doesn't get the pick of the litter. So he's just trying to get back into the game. So even if it's the Marlins at this point, I think he would go.
He needs to get his foot in the door, show that he can pitch again, and that he's valuable, and another team would snatch him up, I think. The team that signs him to begin with will probably take the black eye for signing him, and that'll kind of go away and get swept under the rug, and then after that, I think he'll be all right.
Would you rather, if you're the Oakland A's, we'll go with the Oakland A's, would you rather sign Caitlin Clark or Trevor Bauer for seat purposes? Obviously, Caitlin Clark doesn't play baseball, but I don't care what sport you were to. It's like Taylor Swift at anything. You know what I mean? If you attach her name to something, like if you were to say Caitlin Clark's going to is going to pitch an inning for the Oakland A's, that stadium might be as full as it could possibly be. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, and then the seats, the ticket prices would be astronomical for somebody to see it too as well. Because people love to post on social media. Look where I was at. Look what I did.
Oh man!
Look what I overpaid for.
I do hope that Trevor Bauer ends up getting a job some point in time this season. But like AG said, I think that it's a lot bigger than just this situation.
The worst thing about it though is so he wasn't guilty of this. He's been out of the league, for a couple years, hasn't made any money. Like AG said, probably not the greatest guy, but probably should be in the league. This woman doesn't have any money either, so it's not like he's going to be able to recuperate any kind of damages from her. And basically now, like you said, he's lost a couple years worth of income, which is a lot of money for a guy like that,
Yeah.
So big contract with the Dodgers before
huge contract.
Yeah. So it's nothing but wrong to him. Unless like you said, MLB's taking a shot at him because of some of the other stuff. What goes around comes around, I guess, but still, it kind of sucks.
Well, Justin Verlander is going to be making his debut this Friday against the Nationals. That's going to be much needed for the Houston Astros. They've got to get that pitching staff in some sort of better positioning than what it's at right now with Spencer Arrighetti, I believe that's his name. Hunter Brown went for the Astros last night. I don't know who they had on the bump this afternoon, starting the game against the Atlanta Braves. But I know that the Astros are going to be excited to get Verlander back. But do you think that Verlander is going to be pitching this year as well as what he has in the past?
Was he 39 now?
He might be.
He might be 40?
He might be 40.
Right. I mean, at this point, until he's shown me that he can't pitch at an elite... He's 41. So until he proves to me that he can't pitch at a major league level, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt.
Tom Brady style?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's never been one that's been out there and it was full of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seemed easy to him, right? I mean, even in his Detroit days when he was a lot younger, it was effortless and awesome. And I don't know that he can get back to that, obviously, at the age of 41. But at this point, if you're the Astros, give him 5 1/3 on average, and keep it to less than 2 runs, and you'll keep us in some games, and maybe we can win some more.
There you go. And I think another thing that helps keeps him young, being married to Kate Upton.
I was going to say, like, why is he waiting to retire? He's got Kate Upton waiting at the house.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. The Lakers beat the Pelicans last night. They're going to they are now the 7th seed. They're going to be taking on the Nuggets. You think that the Lakers have a chance? How many games do you think that series goes between the Lakers and the Nuggets?
Was Jokic playing?
Yeah, Jokic will be playing.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Denver here, and I think it's a sweep.
Sweep?
Yeah.
I'm going to give LeBron a game there. LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers. I'm going to give them a game. I think that it goes 5, but the Nuggets are going to prove to have too many mismatches on the floor at any given time, and so I think that I think the Nuggets dispatch of the Lakers. I don't know how strongly I believe that LeBron's going to be a Laker in 2024 season.
Yeah, they keep bringing it up, and of course the whole Bronny situation is, will the team take a flyer on him just to try to get him? When we speculated on that a couple years ago before I think Bronny even committed to USC. So curious to see what happens with it. I mean, you got to think with Golden State potentially losing their 3-headed monster just due to age and salaries. Steph Curry is probably the one that's going to stay, and Draymond and Clay probably go elsewhere. And who knows? Maybe Golden State makes a run at LeBron.
That's actually my hot take. I said that on the Inside Drive today. I think that the Warriors are either going to get LeBron prior to the draft, or Bronny goes undrafted, or the Warriors draft him. They end up getting Bronny and figure out some sort of deal with the Lakers to bring LeBron over there to Golden State, and then you have LeBron and Steph Curry, and then that one ends in failure. I mean, how great would that be? And I hate to say it like that,
age of like 80.
Yeah, I mean, getting daggum close to it, but if you were to put LeBron and Steph Curry on the same team, you've got two of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game on the same team, and those are just situations that I root against.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just chasing stuff like that, I mean, I'm going to root against you all day long. I mean, like, come on, you won enough, LeBron. You don't have to move to a different town just to try to win one more.
Now, on the flip side of that, how cool would it be to see a father and son hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy?
I mean, it was cool to see King Griffey Jr. and King Griffey Sr. go back-to-back one night on Sunday Night Baseball in Seattle.
Still talked about all the time.
100%. I watched it live. It was amazing, and I'll never forget it. And so to see something like that is absolutely impressive. I mean, we see something close to that in baseball, right? Which, because baseball careers, if they're lucky, they tend to be a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So you see brothers playing all the time, going against each other, pitching versus the batter, and stuff like that. But father-son is just a lot different, just because of that generation gap is so large. Sometimes it's just too much to overcome.
I only want to see it if both players are relevant. I don't want to see where one, is like an all-star and the other one's just a fringe player that's being carried along by the other one, and that's the reason why he got the championship. So if they're both relevant, yes. But like say if Bronny was just a win one because he was there with LeBron and the team and he didn't really contribute a whole lot, then I don't really care.
I don't think there's ever going to be a season that LeBron James is playing in the NBA where he's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would Bronny be irrelevant? Like, here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see, whether it's the Lakers or whomever, whether it's the Warriors like we're talking about, I don't want to see them go and waste a second-round pick, in my opinion, on Bronny James just to get LeBron, or sign him as a free agent just to get LeBron, and then, Bronny, who is arguably a very, very fringe NBA player at this point in his life, be brought up from the G League for a game so that they can play together, and then he's
just one
back
game,
down, right? I mean, that's a circus act. Come on.
I think what we're going to see out of Bronny when he gets to the league, if he gets to the league rather than win, even though I think just off of his name he'll get the opportunity, but I think a defensive specialist type guy. So we'll see how it all plays out, though. I still think that would be a really cool storyline, and just imagine the chatter that would happen if LeBron, has one of his decisions again. And unless I think it would have to be a trade the way that the contract is worked out. Mm-hmm. But if not, decision, I'm taking my talents to, what would you call that? A different part of California.
The golden, or what do they call it? The Emerald Triangle up there,
the Emerald Triangle,
Oakland, Silicon Valley.
That's how he should say it. I'm taking my talents to Oakland. The Athletics have just signed a brand new basketball player to be their star baseball player. Zion was injured late in the fourth quarter. He is not going to be playing Friday against the Sacramento Kings. Whoever wins out of the Kings and the Pelicans will be the 8th seed, and they will be taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Are you surprised at all by OKC being the team that was the best in the West?
Their average age is like 23.
Yeah.
So, yes. I mean, there's people talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being the MVP over Jokic. I think that has more to do with
voter fatigue.
Fatigue with Jokic as opposed to, SGA, who's phenomenal, by the way. He's absolutely phenomenal.
I just don't think they want to give it to a foreigner.
I don't think it's that.
They've already done that.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, the fatigue and stuff like that.
I hear you. So, they gave it to him last year, but I think it's just more fatigue than anything. And, if they do award it to SGA, then kudos to him. Look what he's done. They're the number 1 seed in the West, right? When nobody thought that team would even have a chance of even sniffing the postseason.
It's funny how we talk about, the NBA, the game of basketball at the NBA level is very guard-centric, or being able to play all 5 positions, and the last 3-4 MVPs have all been big men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe Donovan Clingan's got a future in the NBA. Not Zach Edey, not that type of a big man, but Donovan Clingan. I can't read that. Oh, yeah, no, we're not going that direction there, K-Van Rick. I think I read the gist of it. Heat versus 76ers, Bulls versus Hawks tonight. Give me your predictions for those games, AG.
I think it's the Heat. I think Jimmy Butler gets it done. And you said Hawks Sixers, right?
Yeah. No. Heat Sixers, Hawks
Sixers.
Bulls.
Hawks Bulls.
So Hawks Bulls, neither one of those teams are gonna watch. We
probably
say
the
that
Hawks just because they've been in the playoffs here recently. So probably the Hawks.
All right, and then you got Heat 76ers. You got Sixers.
Heat.
Man, there's just something about that playoff Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. Does it rise tonight? Which, again, for the Heat 76ers game, whichever team loses will be playing the loser of the Bulls and the Hawks.
It's not the second round. That's not when we lose.
Right. Well, right.
You know what I'm saying? But we'll probably lose this one.
But if you lose tonight, if the 76ers were to lose tonight, then they've got the winner of the Bulls-Hawks game. If they win, then they'll be the 7th seed. And I'm trying to think of who the 2 seed. New York Knicks, I believe it is. Yeah.
The Knicks with no Randall, which is a huge loss.
And the Pacers kind of lucking out in a way that you don't want to luck out necessarily, but Giannis Antetokounmpo going to be out for maybe the first 2 games of the first round, and the Pacers had some good luck against the Milwaukee Bucks this
right?
year.
Because the Bucks are old.
Yeah.
And the Pacers just run you to death.
They do run, man.
And play no defense.
And they don't play very good defense.
They run you to death.
They put up 157 in the last game of the season.
Is that their defense trying to tire you out by the third quarter?
100%.
Yeah, that's exactly
100%. It's you need to try to keep up with us, and hopefully by the time the game is over, you're sweating and tired more than we are.
Yeah, there you go, man. It's been a fun run for the Indiana Pacers. I don't know if it's been as fun for the Pacers as fun as it's been for the Orlando Magic. Really wasn't expecting the season that they've had to this point. That's for sure. You talk about a young team. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're as young as what the Oklahoma City Thunder are, but still, they've got something going over there, and it's a lot of fun to keep up with. Major League Baseball up next. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Call us, 850-215-6290.
America's team plays here.
And a rocket to right field. This thing is into orbit.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Acuna, Ozzie, and Austin Riley lead the Braves' high-powered offense.
Swung on, belted, deep right field. Get out of here, Ozzie. Home run. Ball game.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Brock's Pest Control, Store More Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Billburn Kia, and Mid-South Lumber.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Wednesday's weather. Tonight there will be a calm wind, a mixture of slight fog and mostly clouds, and 67. Mostly clouds and slight fog tomorrow morning, about the same at 75. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 76. About the same at 80 Friday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Hello, this is Rick Vosser with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
When you've completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures.
Yes, sir, Bob. We are back here in the doghouse. This is the Afternoon Underdogs, brother. I'm David Hayes along with Adam Goff and Caveman Rick. And this is ESPN in Northwest Florida. And that was Ralph Jackson on top of Leonard Skinner there. The WNBA draft draws 2.45 million viewers. The previous record, y'all, was 601,000. That was set back in 2004 when Diana Taurasi entered the league. The new record is also big over last year, which had 572,000 viewers, which had been the most since that 2004 draft. It did peak at 3.9 million or 3.09 million viewers. That's pretty impressive stuff.
I want to know what the duration of that watch was. Was it the first 20 minutes, and then after she's gone and done her interviews, Caitlin Clark is off the screen? Now it's on to all the other young ladies. How drastic was that drop off then?
Yeah, it would be interesting to see like 30 minute, every 30 minute kind of
interval
bar graph.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. Man, I really, May 14th is when this starts. I'm really I'm intrigued by what the future is going to be for the WNBA. Like, could this be the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird for the NBA? Because, there really hasn't been a sport. I'll say baseball, right? Baseball, I've been able to live and witness in the revitalization of Major League Baseball, right? But I was so young in 1994 at 3 years old, and even so young in 1998 at 7 years old, that I had no understanding, no real grasp of reality on what was actually taking place. Mm-hmm. Whereas the WNBA, it wouldn't necessarily be a revitalization as much as just like, okay, here we are, we're getting going now, right. But I'm interested to see if, the emergence of Angel Reese along with Caitlin Clark, if those kind of things spark an interest that lasts for the WNBA. Where I stand right now, I just don't think that it does. I don't think that it does. I want it to. I really do want to see this last, but I'm curious.
They're not going to capture the male audience like they want to.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going to struggle. It's where they have struggled. And it's why they've needed the NBA to basically finance them for 27 years now. Mm-hmm. And so where the WNBA needs to capitalize on this is the other women that are finally starting to watch Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Right? do whatever you can to keep their eyes glued to her. If you have her on, if you want to say, here's what's going to happen. We're going to put Caitlin Clark on TV every day.
And they are. 36 out of 40 games are prime time.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And they have to do that, and they have to keep her ever present. And so what you're going to see is you're either going to see women that no longer want to participate because she's no longer amateur in college. I use amateur lightly because she's making millions already.
Yeah.
But
she was making more in college than what she's going to be making at the WNBA level. Just
there's that
contract.
There's that magical run, those 2 magical runs that she went on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fell short, twice, but there were still tremendous runs that she was on in the tournament. So, while you had, those kinds of things going on in the WNBA, it's a much longer season.
Mm-hmm.
The postseason is much longer. Can you keep those same eyes glued on a professional level? And that's what the WNBA has to try to figure out.
Is it
because
much
it's not going to be men that are going to fill those gaps.
Well, how many games do they play in college basketball? I think
it's 42 regular season games.
Right.
WNBA.
WNBA is 40. Yeah, 40 regular season games. So, and what are they playing at the collegiate level? About 30.
31 plus postseason.
Yeah, so maybe 36, 37 games. So, yes, it is longer. One of the things that I guess where I'm at is she's playing for the Indiana Fever, back-to-back years, teams who have had the number 1 picks, right? The number 1 overall picks, which means they're absolutely garbage, right? They're not a good franchise. They haven't been playing good basketball. So what?
Or they traded.
What's that?
They could have made a trade or done something too. There's other ways to get the first overall pick.
You're right about that, but I do think that they came by this honestly.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that they did last year. We could check real quick, that wouldn't be too big of an issue. But either way, they've had the number 1 pick the last 2 years. If Caitlin Clark gets on this team and the team isn't successful, Caitlin Clark's putting up 25, 26, 27 points a game, but the team at the end, let's say there's 17 and 23 or whatever,
right.
I wonder how do the ratings suffer moving forward from something like that if her team's not in games?
100%, because everybody wants a win. Everybody loves a winner, right? So if, say, they start out the season and they're 5-0 to start the season, all those same people that were tuning in to watch her in college at Iowa are going to be tuning in to watch because can she get to 6-0? Can she get to 7-0? And it's not going to be can the Fever get to 6-0.
Can Clark,
It's can Caitlin Clark get to 6-0? Can she get to 7-0?
She's got a lot of pressure on her as well.
Last place both years. 2 years ago they were 5-31, and this past season 13-27.
Hey, progress.
Win 25 games.
Win 25.
Right.
That's the truth. That's a good truth there as well, right? Like Caleb Williams and the Bears, you almost hate it for like Bears fans. What they have 2 wins the year prior, and then last year 6, 7 wins.
8.
8 wins.
I think it was 3 a couple years ago, and then 7 or 8.
All right. So either way, they had a low amount, and then they kind of exceeded at least my expectations for the Chicago Bears. And now you've got the number 1 pick again. And you're going to be drafting a new quarterback. You've put together maybe one of the better rosters that the Chicago Bears have put together in a good little while, and you're going to have the coveted number 1 quarterback. 8 wins, that's not going to cut it, right? You can't go 8 wins again, at least from where I stand. Now, maybe for Bears fans, if you back-to-back years of going 8 and 9, maybe that works out for you. But that's so essentially what I'm saying is, or my thought process on it is that the situation that Caleb Williams is going to be stepping into, it's a lot of pressure there as well for him.
First-year quarterback, I think, if you give him 6, 7 wins, I think that's fair. I mean, you're going from college to the pros. Justin Fields had been there for a few years already, got acclimated to the NFL. So I think if you say that, Caleb Williams needs to put out the same amount of wins as Justin Fields this season, I think that's a little unfair. Maybe about 6 or 7, I think, is probably about right.
Maybe you get a little bit of a leeway with being a rookie quarterback, but still you're stepping into a team that's improved roster-wise from last year. You're supposed to be a better quarterback than what Justin Fields was. And the line that I'm trying to draw here is for Caitlin Clark, 5 wins, 13 wins, and now it's like, you win 25 wins and you're looking great.
20
wins.
Get to 500 and you're good.
Get to 5, and I'm right there with you on that. And I'm just, so that's, I guess, with the Caleb Williams side of things, just thinking that just coming to the top of my head is like, yeah, that is going to be interesting to see how Bears fans react after they get Caleb Williams, and then to see how their season plays out. And if they go, let's say they drop back down to 4 wins. Like, you know what I mean? Can you feel confident that you made the right pick if you drop back from 8 wins to 4 wins and just be like, well, I
think it depends on the level of play, though. If they're getting blown out and he leads the league in turnovers, not just interceptions, but fumbles as well.
Yeah.
Then absolutely. There's a big negative thing. But if
they're putting up 30 points a game and the defense is giving up 35,
which I don't think the Bears defense will this year, because I think they're going to be good. But the thing is if you look at from a game by game basis, and they're right there in the games, but they're just not getting over that hump, then that's progress. Even if they lose more games than they did last year, there still can be progress being made, especially with a first-year quarterback.
Yeah, and
not everybody's C.J. Stroud.
Look at other first-year quarterbacks and like the woes that a lot of other ones had. Look at Peyton Manning. I think he had 1 win in his first season. Mm-hmm. I mean, great quarterbacks just don't start off winning with winning records 9-10 games their first year.
Right. But that's the difference in this one is where the Bears were 2 years ago, where they were last year, and then kind of started making that progress. And I'm not saying that just because if they only end up winning 4 games, that's just going to be like, yes, automatically that was the wrong pick. It will be. I think it's going to be a storyline. That's what I'm getting at. Is I think that the Bears record will end up being a storyline just because of that. Like, you had 8 wins last year, and so that the pressure is a little higher, I would say, for Caleb Williams than what it has been for other first-round quarterbacks. Like, what did we really expect out of Bryce Young? We expected Bryce Young to maybe be better than what C.J. Stroud was, but then C.J. Stroud kind of, like, erased expectations for everyone, right?
Better team around C.J. Stroud compared to...
No doubt. 100%. But we're talking expectations, right?
We were talking about Jacksonville winning that division going away. We were talking about Houston being an afterthought. And then all of a sudden, here they are, and they're winning games that they shouldn't win, and then they're blowing teams out. They're putting up 40 points a game, and now there's there could be this same expectation of Caleb Williams going into this year with the roster moves that Chicago has made. But it's unfair to that young man to do that to him. That's why I think you got to let the cake bake. Let's see how the season goes. If he's showing progress, and they're in games, but they're just not getting over the hump. Okay, even if you have 4 wins, it can still be a positive season.
Yeah, and more than likely he's going to end up being great this next year, because for a lot of the time I was saying, I don't know how Wemby is going to end up holding up, right? I just a lot of pressure, frail body, all of that stuff, and I was way off about that. So maybe on the same exact.
You and I talked about Wemby before, like after he got drafted, if I'm not mistaken, and I told you, I said, there is only one coach in this league that I think Wemby should have gone to, and he went to him. He went to Pop. Pop knows how to
develop the bigs,
to develop these young men
manager load,
that no one knows what they're going to get out of them. I mean, look at Kawhi Leonard in the way his career took off. Right now, granted, we know what it is now, but Kawhi Leonard and all these young players, Wemby went to the perfect spot. And you look at the way that Wemby's season has progressed. Not only his minutes played have increased, but his production has increased. They didn't look to him to be the go-to guy, early on in the season. Now as the season was winding down, they were actually having him be a focal point of the offense. And that was because of his ability to learn and adapt and grow.
Yeah, absolutely, man. A couple of college baseball notes real quick, and then I'll let you guys take the final segment and talk some Major League Baseball with that. You can give some updates on the scores. What is your Reds a final?
I don't know. It's 5-1 in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah. Got a lot of close games going on right now. That is a final between the Mariners and the Reds, 5-1. But let's see. Will Palfrey texted this in to me this morning. Southern Miss, their Matthew Russo had a 3-run walk-off home run, 410 feet in the bottom of the ninth to win that game 9-6. He now has 3 home runs in the last 3 games. You also got that young man over there at Georgia, Condon. What's his first name? Charlie?
Charlie Condon.
Yeah, Charlie Condon. He's been having a great season for the Georgia Bulldogs. Jack Caglianone.
Is that a 500-some footer home run, right?
516-foot home run. Did you see it?
No, I didn't, but I heard about it.
It was a tank.
Dude, over the scoreboard, just the longest Major League Baseball home run measured by StatCast. Now, obviously, we're talking wood bats compared to metal bats, but according to StatCast to date was 505 feet. That was by Rangers right fielder Nomar Mazara against the White Sox in June 2019. But Caglianone, he's been called the Ohtani, or the college Ohtani pitches and he hits, which I think is becoming more commonplace in the game of college baseball. But you were mentioning 5 players, like the first 5 picks in the Major League Baseball draft this coming season those teams are going to be set up. Talk about those prospects and just what you're seeing from them this year.
I mean, you've got Nick Kurtz in there, you've got White in there, you've got Condon that we already talked about, you got Caglianone in there that you talked about, and then there's one more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But you're looking at generational type talents with these guys. Travis Bazzana. Just absolutely. I think you can't miss. I don't think you can miss if you're in that top 5. Fortunately, my Reds are number 2. The Guardians have the first pick overall. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Guardians do with that number 1 pick, because I know that they need pitching. They have a wealth of infielders right now, similar to what the Reds are dealing with. But baseball is in a really, really good state right now. I mean, there is some absolute just blockbuster kids coming up. And there's another kid that is going to be entering into the draft this year by the name of Ethan Holiday, which is Jackson's younger brother, who...
What round did the Orioles get him in?
That some have speculated could be better than Jackson.
Wow.
Now, granted, Jackson's hitting .40 right now, but let's again.
Does he get a slight pass?
Jackson Holiday?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The thing is what I think the Orioles want to see is I think the Orioles want to see Jackson just kind of look around him and go, "You're good, bud. There's no pressure. Come up, do what you do, right? You've got Adley, you've got Gunner, you've got Cedric, you've got Santander, you've got Kowser, you got Kerstad, you got Westberg.
The OKC,
you're good, dude.
Major League Baseball,
100%. Like, you're good, dude. Just play ball, and until that kid figures that part out, he's going to continue to struggle. But again, a lot of that outside pressure has a lot to do with it, right? I mean, he's the next coming, and so. And as soon as that kid figures it out, I think we're actually going to see what Jackson Holiday's capable of. But his brother Ethan is coming as well.
Wow, man. Matt Holliday has got to be a proud dad. That is for sure. Well, guys, I am out for today. Going to let AG and Caveman Rick talk a little Major League Baseball with you guys in the next segment. You can also text in 850-215-6290 or call in and talk with the fellas. Coach James Hell's show is going to be live at 7 in the morning. The Inside Drive back at 11 a.m. and the Afternoon Underdogs will be back tomorrow at 4. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida with Rick at AG. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer, number 9.
Saturday, April 27th at Bay Haven Charter Academy. In the main event, it's a tag team showdown with Exodus versus Mike Steele and Mr. 850. Then, Callie Mann and Kelly Clark in the Wrestling Against Cancer Championship bout. Plus, exciting women's wrestling. Doors open at 5:30. Bell time 6:30.
More information, ESPNPC.com.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Wednesday's weather. Tonight there will be a calm wind, a mixture of slight fog and mostly clouds, and 67. Mostly clouds and slight fog tomorrow morning, about the same at 75. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 76. About the same at 80 Friday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi, I'm Tracy, your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to be helpful and to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Pick your sparkle and use our easy layaway plan. Every woman deserves an exquisite diamond from your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We don't work on commissions.
We work for smiles and I-dos.
So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, stop by and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
But I wonder how much time he really kind of put into the playbook.
Where it's halftime all the time.
He may be the cream of this crop of quarterbacks.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Well, they got to do something here, but otherwise this is just going to be another lost season.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome into the final segment here on the Afternoon Underdogs. I am AG along with Caveman Rick. You are tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. So we kept teasing baseball. Of course, you know how we roll here on the Afternoon Underdogs. We go off on tangents because that's just what we do. Dave has some things here. He asked, will these MLB trends continue? Right. So the first one he has on here, Mookie Betts is the best he has ever been right now. What you think?
I think probably no. I think he was better maybe a few years ago. I think there's such a wealth of talent over there now. You really don't have to be. Like, I think a few years ago, before like Freddie Freeman got there, he had to carry the team a bunch because he was like the big, name guy over there. I mean, they had like Turner and, a few other guys that have moved on. But I think just right now, there's no need for him to really to be the guy. It's spread out over like the whole roster pretty much.
I think he is, and the reason I say that is because of the position change, right? I mean, he was in right field for almost his entire career, whether it was Boston or LA, and they've asked him to originally go to second base, and then they realized that Gavin Lux wasn't the shortstop that they thought he was, so they moved him over to second and said, "Okay, Mookie, now you're at short." We've seen it a number of times where there's been position changes, and that's affected that same player, on the offensive side, right? Where there was a confidence thing or, just a comfortability thing. Baseball players are very, very superstitious. But with Mookie, now granted, it does help when you have Freeman and Ohtani batting behind you. But I think what we've seen out of Mookie Betts this year is there's an ease about his game. Like, even in the field when he's playing short, I mean, he's smooth as ever, whether it's in right field or or inside the diamond. But just watching him play the game the way he's playing it right now, I feel like he's probably at his best.
Well, you're talking about the ease. I'm thinking that's partly because he doesn't have to worry about it.
No, obviously,
it's easy to go out there and just kind of like just play your game when it's like not all about you. You don't have to be the guy every day when you go out there.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Next one on the docket is the Astros are in trouble.
I don't know. I'd probably say no, just because of the run that they've had. I mean, like when you win this much and you've gone, into the playoffs, I mean, you can't keep it rolling the whole time. Sure, it's a slow start to the season, but I mean, it's not a sprint. It's it's a marathon, like everybody knows. So I mean, if they're still like in the boat that they're in, say like beginning of June, then I'm going to say, yeah, dude, they're in some deep doo-doo right now because they're not going to get it going. But I mean, give them another 5 or 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's that window's closing, right, on this season, I think, just because of the division that they play in with the Rangers right there. I think the Mariners, who just now after they beat the Reds went to 500. So, they're right there. I mean,
they can still be wild cards, though, even if they don't win the division.
Right. But there's a hole that's being dug. And you've seen, how many teams have we seen that, have dug that hole for themselves in that first, before May ends. And it's so hard for them to get out.
I've seen my team do it before.
Yeah.
And even in the recent past.
Yeah, it's tough to do. Well, you fired a manager and then it happened.
Yeah. And then like we got rolling and we thought, everybody thought, giving Rob Thompson the job. Like, what the hell y'all doing?
Right.
I mean, look what he's done.
Juan Soto is beloved in the Bronx.
Yeah, kind of like in Philly. We'll see how long it goes. He's had a great start to the season. Okay, you don't make a couple of those plays that you made this year and cranked a couple of those home runs. I think it's a little bit of a different story. Him playing there, the kind of money they were giving him. So if you can keep it rolling, I think so. But like again, you're going to have to keep it rolling in that terrible, or not terrible, that it's a terrible media market, I guess, because you can get really beat up around there.
Talking to some of my buddies that are Yankees fans, right, whether it be on Whatnot or just in real life, if that's what you want to call it, and diehard Yankee fans. I mean, some of them are in the Bronx, some of them are in New Jersey, some of them are up there in that whole general vicinity, right, which they all call it's all of New York, right, and they love him. I mean, they absolutely love him. Now, I know he's hitting 350 right now. He's mashing. He's doing all the right things. But I think for them, what at least most of them that I've spoken with, they're more excited about the fact that he's actually swinging the bat this year and not taking walks than they are the fact that he's actually hitting 350. And they're happy that he's hitting 350, but the fact that he's making a concerted effort to not draw walks like he did in San Diego, or toward the end there in Washington, I think that's what has got them excited. Now it's, can the Yankees get back on the winning side? Because if they lose today, I think it's 4 in a row to the Blue Jays. So
yeah, well, you get Garrett Cole coming back. I mean, you got other guys that can take the walks, like an Aaron Judge instead of you. So I mean, for Soto, so there's like the same thing as kind of like Betts. You got help around you. You don't have to be the guy. Not that he had to be the guy necessarily. San Diego, he had some weapons there, but when he was like with the Nationals, he didn't have much help.
Yeah. Also, having Anthony Volpe in that lineup and the way he's hitting right now is helpful.
Stan's healthy, Judge. I mean, yeah, they got a lineup.
Yep. Mike Trout is back to being Mike Trout.
I guess you could probably say that. I mean, the status quo, I guess, for the Angels, especially now that Ohtani's gone. So, yeah, I would say that's probably a trend that's going to keep going, unfortunately, for the guy. Him being a South Jersey guy, I wanted a lot, more and better for him. I'm just sorry that he stayed. He should have came back east, came back home.
You just selfish. You just wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a wealth of riches if we could have had a guy like him and a guy like Harper on the same team and stuff. You ain't kidding me. Plus, like I said, it'd be good. Well, I'm not usually one of those people that would say be good for baseball or be good for football, but I mean, it probably would be if you had a guy like Trout actually going into the playoffs and actually doing something instead of just wasting away over in Southern California.
Well, I think Trout. I don't think Trout ever left. I think his health is the biggest issue, right? I mean, that's always been the thing. Is he going to play 50 games? Is he going to play 150 games this year? Here over the last 5 years, we've not seen, I think, but one full season of Mike Trout. And I think a lot of this stems from his poor performance in spring training, which I think some people hold too much value on. But, I mean, if you look at Trout's numbers right now, he's hitting 284. Where did he go?
It's a lot of pressure to produce. He's like the only guy.
Yeah, he's hitting 284 with 7 bombs.
Yeah, but again, what kind of protection is he getting? He doesn't have nobody around him. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you got Taylor Ward, who's having a career year right now. You've got Logan O'Hoppe, their young catcher, who's actually playing really, really well. So he does have some stuff around him, but I think if Anthony Rendon would ever figure it out and want to play baseball for a living, maybe they'd have more
we
success.
Talked about him, I think, was it yesterday or maybe last week, about what they need to do is send his ass down to like AAA. You get rid of the guy. He has to show up, right? He has to play to get paid. So then you get some use out of him, and if anything, maybe bring some value and you can move him.
That's a lot of money in the minor leagues.
I hear you, but I mean, like, what else are you going to do? Right. Like I said, in a way too, it'd be punishing him because you think he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to play in the major leagues. He sure as hell don't want to go play in the minors. Yeah. So it's embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? It's putting him in his place. Yeah. I would do it. I mean, at least for a little while.
Are the Cardinals regretting letting Tyler O'Neill go?
I don't know. I haven't followed the Cardinals a whole lot. I mean, I picked them to win their division just because they're just that team, man. It just doesn't seem to matter that, you could count them out and they just seem to be like the Terminator, man. Like you can't kill them sometimes, Not saying they go deep into the playoffs, but being relevant and potentially making the playoffs or being a wild card team. So right now I'd probably say no.
I think as of right now, they probably do, but not in the future plans. Tyler O'Neill is, if anybody doesn't know, he's a very, very muscular individual, which some have said he's probably more muscular bound, which has kind of hindered him in a health manner, right? So, things are a little wound a little too tight, and then things
Yeah, just being big and muscular, I mean, it works for some stuff, but not everything.
He's playing for the Red Sox now. He's hitting very, very well. He's nuking the ball right now. But I think the Cardinals probably regret losing Randy Arozarena and Adolis Garcia more than they do Tyler O'Neill. It's seeing what Randy Arozarena is doing down in Tampa and seeing Adolis Garcia in the postseason last year. Those were two highly touted prospects for the Cardinals that they just never made it there. So Tyler O'Neill could probably help in the outfield, especially with the way Jordan Walker's performed early on in the season. But I think Walker's too talented to not get it turned around. But as of right now, I don't think they're regretting it, but I think they could later on if this trend continues.
Right on.
Oakland Athletics aren't the worst team in baseball.
Yeah, they're not the worst team in baseball. I mean, not by record-wise or, I just think in general. I mean, yeah, they got that, black eye just because of where they play and the situation that they're in, having a home and all that. But, I mean, I would say, maybe the White Sox or, the Rockies got a worse record. So does, I think, one of the Marlins do, too. But, I mean, this team, all these guys, I'm sure it's got to be embarrassing what's going on, right? So they're going to play. They're it's already bad enough the situation they're in. They're not going to want to go out there and just crap the bed. They're going to want to go out there and play and make themselves look decent. And it's like Jay said, recently too, when we have him in, your stat line matters, for your legacy. So even if you don't want to go out and play and you don't like the situation you're in, the numbers you put up are still going to follow you, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you want to get out of that situation and go to a different team, you need to put up good numbers. That way you show worth to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like Major League. You're counting these guys out and you're kind of treating them like crap and looking down on them. They're going to prove you wrong. They got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the Oakland Athletics are probably excited, as the players are probably more excited right now than they ever have been. The ones that have been there a year or longer, just because they know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They're no longer going to have to go to that ballpark. They're no longer going to have to worry about being in California. They're going to have to. They're looking forward to going to Vegas.
Well, they'll still be in California until
they're going to Sacramento for a couple years, but they'll be going to Vegas eventually, right?
Some of those players won't even be on the team though when it makes the move.
Maybe,
or quite a few probably.
But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? You're not stuck there in Oakland. And there's some good young talent on that Oakland team. Zach Geloff, who struggled early, he's super talented. I think he'll get it figured out. Asturi Ruiz is good. I know they sent him down for some odd reason, which has still not been explained to me, but he's come back and he's hit 2 bombs, I think, in 2 days.
And with the Athletics, if you show your worth, they don't pay nobody, right? So if you show that you got some talent and they can move you.
You'll be a Brave.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll go to a good team and they'll move you. They'll get a piece or two or dump salary or do whatever they got to do, but you'll be in a better situation than you probably are currently right now. So the only thing that can happen is things can go up, I guess, to get better.
All right, here's another one. This is from me. The Milwaukee Brewers offense can keep up at this pace.
Probably not. I don't think they got enough guns to kind of sustain, I guess, if you will. They've been playing pretty good ball. I haven't followed them a ton, but
they're 6th in the league in scoring right now.
Are they right now?
Yeah.
So they got a pretty good plus run differential.
To plus 25.
Okay, plus 25. That's pretty good then. This early on in the season. Unlike was it last season? By now, some teams are already plus 40 or 50. But that's another story.
Right now, the leader for run differential, believe it or not, is the Kansas City Royals at plus 41.
Okay, plus 41. See, that's kind of more normal where you see a lot of teams like this.
Not for the Royals, it's not.
No, not for them, but I'm just saying seeing a team that's plus 40, plus 50, But, I don't think they'll be able to sustain.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, there's something to be said, and I know everybody wants to give, credit to the manager that just went to the Chicago Cubs. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But they want to give him credit for, what they had going on in Milwaukee. But there's something going on up there with their ability to find arms and their ability to find young talent and being able to gel together. And that's what I, as a Reds fan, hate, number one, because we don't have it right now. But number two, I feel like that's what the Reds would have had, Noelvi Marte not juiced and Matt McClain been healthy, and us going into the season, at full strength. So we still haven't seen that yet from my Reds, but I'm hoping eventually one day we'll get them all in there in the same lineup. So 9-9 right now. I said at this point in the season, just don't be 7 games under like you were the last 2 seasons, and I'll be okay.
Yeah, 500 is not bad for that team right now.
No, not now. Not right now. They're right now they're 4th in the division, but everybody is above 500. So, but we appreciate you all tuning in to ESPN Northwest Florida. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow morning for the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9. And then stay on for Ryan Mulvey and the Inside Drive from 11 to 1. And then back here with us on the Afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6. For K-Man Rick, I'm AG. You all have a lovely Wednesday evening.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Hi, this is Jack Patterson inviting everyone out for a night of exciting professional wrestling. It's Wrestling Against Cancer, number 9, Saturday, April 27th at Bay Haven Charter Academy. Tickets are still